Hello everyone, Nakura here, and today I'm going to be doing a track tour video. It's been a while since my last one. I should probably do these more. Anyway, user on YouTube named Squeebles, I think that's how you pronounce it. Sorry if I mispronounced your YouTube name. Asked that I do one for my track "Falling for Your Love." Now I did this track last year, probably about a year old by now. Uh, and it's a early 90s like breakbeat hardcore jungle type track. It's very old school sounding. Since it's been a while since I worked on this, I might not remember exactly why I did some things, but I'll try my best to recall why I did those things. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and play the track for you, and then I'll break down each element and go over it. And yeah, let's hear the song.
Once again, once again, back, 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 once again, once again.
So yeah, that's the song. As you can hear, it's very, very old school sounding. So I was inspired by the trigger happy songs that I found on Bandcamp. So if you haven't checked out that stuff, I highly recommend it. It's very, very like authentic sounding old school stuff. So I wanted to try something like that, and that's what birthed this song. Anyway, I'm just gonna go over the tracks from top to bottom, and I'll explain each element. So first things first is the Amen break, which is the heart of this song. So as you can see, I just chopped it up, threw that inside a Slice X, and it auto did it, I think, but then I went in and manually adjusted it to make sure it was all perfect. So yeah, it's the Amen. The intro, it's the same thing, but just chopped up. And then over here, I have what I call the phaser Amen, and it's the same pattern, but as you can hear, it sounds a lot different. And that's actually not a phaser effect. All I did was copy the notes. As you can see, they kind of overlap right there. And so I just basically copied the pattern and then moved the notes around, and that makes them slightly off timing. So it gives it like a phaser kind of sounding effect. It's a very, very old school kind of trick right there. So that's pretty much it for the Amen. It's mostly just a basic Amen break, and I just chopped it up. Oh, there's also this pattern. It's just the Amen coming in. As you can see, it's titled Amen Intro. Anyway, basic Amen, classic break used in a bajillion songs. Next, we have the... oh, maybe I should go over the mixer track first. The Amen break before I move on. It's literally just this thing called the DD channel. It's from Dead Duck Instruments or Effects or whatever. They make decent stuff. I used this because I wanted to emulate like someone actually using like a real mixer kind of. So I put some compression, EQ, and a high pass filter. So I'll go ahead and play it with that off. Sounds much better with it. Anyway, now let's move on to the kick. So the kick is just a basic 909 kick. Really kind of tiny sounding. I didn't want a big kick. I wanted like a really small kick because I wanted the some room for the everything else that's going to be in the mix. Like it's I think a lot of times you're either going to do breakbeat or you're going to do 4 on the floor. If you're doing both, you want one element to just be smaller than the other. And in this case, instead of the kick being big, I chose to have the Amen big. All right, next is a basic 909 hat. Just real basic stuff. And then a clap pattern. You layer all those together. You get the basic like beat that accompanies the breakbeat. So if I put the breakbeat in, you get the full drum beat. Cool. The clap also has this little clap roll at the end right here. Just really basic stuff. You may have noticed in the mixer, there's not a lot of processing on anything, and that's because I wanted to keep it very bare bones. Because I was trying to think like if someone back in the day was actually producing this, they wouldn't have access to like tons of VSTs or hardware units. So I tried to keep it very minimal to try to emulate that. Next is the crash. Just a basic 909 crash. I suppose I should go over the EQ. I used TDR VOS Slick EQ, which is emulation of a hardware equalizer. So pretty cool. Put it on the British preset because I wanted to make it sound like someone in England was making this. Uh, yeah, and then the kick also, you might have noticed it had this peak controller. It's controlling something. I'm not sure what. I stumble across it, I'll point it out. All right, what's next? Snare roll. This is only used in these 2 points in the song. Just a basic snare roll. That's all it does. All right, now let's get to like the real kind of heart of the song, which is the main vocal sample. So I'll go ahead and play that for you.
Falling for your line. I keep falling for your line. Oh yeah. Falling for your line. I keep falling for your line. You drive me crazy.
So as you can hear, it's very, very dry. There's like no reverb or anything on that. And that's because, again, I was trying to think, what would someone producing this in the 90s actually have access to? And they're not going to have a bunch of reverbs and stuff to use. And if they did, they're going to use it on like one specific thing, you know, and they're not going to be like overdubbing and like recording lots of stuff to tape because they just don't have access to that kind of thing. So this vocal sample is actually from an In Deep song called, I think it's Record Spinning. Yeah, The Record Keeps Spinning. And let me go ahead and stretch this out. So this is the original sample. These ones have been like rendered out and like processed a whole bunch. That's where I did cheat a little bit. Like there's all these cuts and like time stretching things going on, which they wouldn't be able to do back in the day. So I did cheat a little. But anyway, here's the source of the sample. I'm just going to play it stretched how it is.
Lipstick on your shirt. Boy, you know it hurt, cause it wasn't mine. Said it wasn't mine. I gave you all my trust, and now it's turned to dust. You were my boyfriend. I said my boyfriend. You were seen with other girls. Cute ponytails and curls. Say what's the name? I wanna know the names. I keep falling for your line. Look,
Right there. That's where the main sample comes from.
I keep falling for your line.
And here's where the oh yeah comes from.
Oh yeah.
And then the driving me crazy somewhere in the song. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not gonna try to find it. But anyway, yeah. I was just going through acapellas I have, trying to find a sample for song, and I just heard that one little bit keep falling for you, love, and I'm like, I can make a song around that, and then I did. So yeah, as you can see on the, let's go over the vocals again. So I used volume automation right here to try to like even this out a little bit.
I keep falling.
Then all I did was put an EQ on it. There is no compressor or anything. I think I did pan it a little bit to the right. Probably I think because it had a like a left bias, so I just kind of corrected that.
I keep falling for your line. You drive me crazy.
So yeah, that's those vocals. Very basic stuff. Let's move on to the next thing, which is the bass. Very, very simple bass line. It's just flat in the intro here, and then this is where like the actual progression is. Go ahead and play that. This one. So what this is a this is Repro 1, which is an emulation of the Prophet 1. And I use this, which is probably not a synth that someone would have access to in the 90s, but they might. I was just like imagining like the producers, like, you know, dad or something had it and then they just used it. Yeah, a lot of this was kind of role playing when I was making this song. The original bass was a emulation of the Roland Alpha Juno 1, I think that's what this is emulation of, which is something that someone might actually have in the early 90s because they were kind of cheap digital synths. Anyway, I didn't like that bass very much, so I replaced it with something that's kind of similar sounding, but just better. So yeah, that's all there is to the bass. I don't think there's anything going on. There's some volume automation apparently. Oh, this is what the kick's controlling, I'm pretty sure. So if I enable the kick, yeah, I just have it sidechained to the kick drum. Okay, so yeah, that's all that's going on with the bass. Next we have the M1 piano classic. Yeah. Uh, Basically, I just wanted to use seventh chords because those kind of have a old school kind of vibe to them, and then just build it in, and tweak some of the notes, and yeah, that's what we get. There's the chord progression for the main piano. I guess I'll go over this now. So there's this mute right here, and what that's doing is it's cutting the piano off right there, so there's no reverb or anything. And you might notice this gap right here. And I did this throughout the song. Like, I think it's right about here. Yeah, it's a little bit behind. And this ends a little early. And the reason I did that is because I wanted the song to sound like each of these sections was like recorded as its own part and then spliced together later after the fact. Which is actually how I'm pretty sure they did it a lot of the times back in the old days. I don't know though, because I wasn't alive. Well, I was alive then, but I wasn't making music then. Yeah, because I was just a baby. But anyway, sorry, my phone did something. I got distracted. So I'm just kind of guessing as to like how it would have actually been done. Yeah. If I wanted to make it more authentic sounding, like there's certain elements they probably would have like overdubbed, which is like the bass or something. So I probably should have like moved that over slightly in some sections. But you know, hindsight and all. Anyway, let's go over to the next thing, which is this high string sound. This just layers over the piano to try to like just make it more sonically interesting and add something to the section. And then, yeah, it's just very basic. Didn't want to make it too loud because it's very high pitched, and high pitched stuff you don't want it too loud. Use Korg M1 for that. Same for the piano, obviously, because it's a M1 piano, piano 16 to be specific. This was not you. This was string analog. String in analog. Whatever. Same thing. Cut it off because it has a tail on it. Alright, so next we have, this is only used in the second breakdown, which is a M1 pad. A really kind of deep sounding, kind of moody, called touchy pad. I suppose I should play this section kind of by itself with the because there's a unique pattern for the piano, which is this. And that just transitions into the main M1 for the second build-up. And then I layered that with the pad and the high string. So this is basically the second breakdown. So yeah, let's move on to the stab, which is provided by Rave Generator, as you can see by the pattern name. And this is the Spirit It stab. Very, very basic old school stab. The second part with the stab is it's the same stab, but like I changed the pattern up. And the reason I did that is just to keep it interesting. I don't want to use the same exact pattern over and over again. So yeah. I suppose like if I'm listening to other old school songs, like they get a little more crazy with the stabs than I did, but I did the best I could, I guess. Next we have this one that is called Disgusting Sample, and I believe this is another stab from Rave Generator. Yeah, it's called Omnibus. So yeah, that it's I was gonna use this in other sections of the song, but it didn't really fit. But I kind of liked it in the middle. So I'll go ahead and play it with all the relevant elements. And it just kind of keeps this interesting. So yeah, pretty cool. All right, next is the secondary vocal, which is they're both samples from a Public Enemy song, "Bring the Noise," which has been sampled to death. It's like one of the most sampled songs ever, I think. So I'll go ahead and play this pattern, which is the one that plays in the intro, and the midsection, and the outro.
Back once again, 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 back.
All right, so you see, I just kind of threw it into a Slice X, sliced up the parts, and then sequenced the vocals with MIDI. So yeah, while I was listening to that, I remembered I didn't go over the mixer for like any of that previous stuff, and I'll do that after I go over these vocals. So for the vocals, both of them are gonna just have the slick EQ on them to like do some low cut and stuff. And but anyway, let's play the secondary vocal, which Public Enemy vocal, which is I think they're both from the same song. Yeah, and this is just a different section. So this one goes like,
Hello, can you once again? Hello, can you go? Hello, can you once again? Hello, can you go?
So yeah, especially that "Hello, Can You Go?" that has been sampled to death. I'm pretty sure I kind of copied this pattern from a DJ Shimomura song. I think it was Friendly Madness 05 or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. I don't remember which one. I have to go look at it to figure it out. I know what album it's from. It's I think it's called Power Slam. Anyway, I kind of copied that, but then like did some dropouts, added some other like tweaks of my own. So it's not a direct copy, but it's definitely very heavily influenced by how he cut the vocal in one of his tracks. So yeah, that's that one. Next we have this "Hit It" vocal, which is like super loud. I believe this is from a video game. Yeah, it's from a Lapfox sample pack where they sampled a bunch of video game sounds. That's where I got it. But this "Hit It" vocal has been used in all kinds of stuff. It's not specifically from that game. It's just that's just where this one was sourced. Okay, anyway, I got ahead of myself again. Let's go over the mixers. I keep forgetting. So let's do the piano. This one has a little bit of a tilt EQ, and what that does is you set a frequency point, and then you turn this knob, and it will give it a, like, basically tilt it around that point. So since I turn this to the left, it's cutting the bass and then adding to the high end. But they're pretty handy just for some overall tone adjustment. I used a little radiator, which is like a little preamp thing, called a heater, to kind of beef up the piano a little bit. There's that mute to cut off all the reverb and stuff, and then a slick EQ to get rid of some of the low end. And we had the high string, which has the mute on it. And one pad has nothing. The stab just has the low cut on there. Same with the other stab. Vocals both had that, and then the "Hit It" also had a low cut. So yeah. Where was I? Yes. Sample ARP. So this is just like a little arpeggio that plays in the midpoint, the outro, and the intro, which is also from Rave Generator. It's a Juno bass sample, but I played it really high up, and then I just did some basic velocity changing or manipulation to get the kind of build-up effect. So yeah, that's that. It's where is it? There it is. This one's off timing. It's weird. I wonder why I did it like that. I don't know. Don't remember. But yeah, this is it's basically kind of like I didn't want to put a snare roll here, and I just kind of randomly made this, and it ended up working. So it was pretty cool. All right, next we have the acid, which comes in the second part of the track. I have to kind of admit, I think this might sound a little too modern for the song. Like they definitely would have been using acid, but I think I might have used it in a way that isn't authentic sounding. But I'll go ahead and just play the pattern for you, and you can make your own determination. Anyway, yeah, so here's the pattern. I used Pro 1 to do it, a bunch of effects on it. And then all I had was the EQ for low cut on the mixer, and then the mute. And I use these effects because they're supposed to be like guitar pedal emulations, which I was like, that's perfect. That's kind of like what somebody might have in the early 90s. Anyway, I'll go ahead and play the pattern again in pattern mode. And then I will turn these effects on and off so you can kind of hear what they do. So yeah, pretty cool. I do like the acid sound though. It does have kind of that really like cool bendy kind of sound I really like from acid in it. All right, and last we have the effects. So this happens during like the whoa, how did I even do that? I'll just pretend I didn't do that. Anyway, it's this little like hisser sound. And I believe these were sourced from the Blue audio. Yeah, these are the Blue Martin samples, which he's a drum and bass or jungle producer, and made a sample pack and has cool stuff in it. So, like, I think all three of these are from that sample pack, I believe. Yeah, BM. Yep. Anyway, so this one is just a simple hisser effect, low cut on it, just right in the when the drop happens to try to give it a. I didn't want to use like a modern sounding like white noise sweep or anything. I just want something simple, and it's a sample, which is perfect. Next, I have this spin down effect. And that happens when the piano and the stabs and all that come in, right here. Or the piano and stabs, the phaser breakbeat and the stabs. Then we have this rewind effect, which is kind of like to transition it back to the like the midpoint. So go ahead and we'll first play it by itself. All right, and then on mute everything. So yeah, that's basically the entire song. It's very basic production. It's not like super complicated. There's not a bajillion tracks, and that's mostly on purpose because I wanted it to sound as authentic as I could make it. Could it be more authentic? Probably, but it was mostly just like a kind of learning thing for me. Like I said, I heard those trigger happy songs, and I was like, I want to make something like that. So I kind of did a little bit of research and messed around until I can, try to get something that sounded like that. And I think I did a pretty decent job. Yeah, all those effects, they just had the low cut on them. Master has a EQ that was just for reference, and then soft clipper, soft for clipping. But anyway, yeah, that's the entire song. I hope this was useful, kind of insightful look into, my production process for this song. Maybe you might have learned something. I hope that's the case. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.